The fire was out, the firefighters left. 14 minutes later, a 10,000-ton oil train began moving on its own, downhill, toward a town 7 miles away. No one was on board. The train had stopped for the night in Nantes, Quebec. It was 4,700 feet long, with 72 tank cars carrying about 7.7 million liters of crude oil. The track sloped toward Lac-Mégantic. Before leaving, the engineer applied 7 handbrakes. He then released the automatic brakes and confirmed that it stayed still. The locomotive's own air brakes, however, were still fully applied. The test was supposed to prove that the handbrakes could hold the train alone. Instead, it proved only that the handbrakes and locomotive air brakes could hold it together. The train appeared secure, but the lead locomotive was already failing. A non-standard repair had allowed oil to collect in the turbocharger and exhaust system. The locomotive lost power, produced heavy smoke, and sprayed droplets of oil. The engineer reported the smoke. The plan was to deal with it the next morning. The lead locomotive's running engine also maintained pressure in the locomotive brakes. As long as its compressor kept running, those brakes kept their full holding force. At 11:40 p.m., someone reported a small fire in the exhaust stack. Firefighters applied foam, cut the fuel, and opened the electrical breakers. Those were the prescribed actions. The fire went out. So did the engine. Every locomotive was now shut down. The compressor was no longer replacing air lost from the brake system. The train remained still, but the force holding it had already begun to disappear. No one started another locomotive. 2 that could have restarted automatically had already been shut down, and because of the way one safety control was wired, opening the breakers did not trigger a full train brake application. The engineer asked whether he should return or whether another locomotive should be started. The decision was to wait until morning. A track foreman confirmed that the fire was out, and all the locomotives were shut down. The controller believed the handbrakes were sufficient and told him to leave. At about 12:44 a.m., everyone left. Air pressure leaked away at about 1 pound per square inch per minute. As the pressure fell, the locomotive brakes weakened. But the automatic brakes in the tank cars still did not apply. They were designed to react to a sudden pressure drop, a brake command, or a broken line. This loss was too slow. The system treated it as leakage, not as an order to stop. The train was steadily losing the air pressure that helped hold it in place, while the automatic brakes remained released. Nothing announced the change. No engine ran, no locomotive burned. The wheels had not moved. The failure was unfolding inside gauges, reservoirs, cylinders, and brake shoes. Underneath it all was the earlier mistake. The handbrakes had never been tested on their own. Investigators calculated that the handbrakes provided about 48,600 pounds of holding force, while the grade required about 146,700. At first, the locomotive air brakes added roughly 215,500 pounds, enough to hide the shortage. That force kept shrinking. One of the 7 handbrakes also became effectively useless as air leaked away, leaving only 6. Even the company's stated minimum would not have held the train at naught. At around 27 pounds per square inch, the remaining locomotive brake force had fallen to about 97,400 pounds. Added to the handbrakes, the total came to roughly 146,000 pounds. The grade required slightly more. At 12:58 and 21 seconds, gravity won. More than 10,000 tons began descending toward Lac-Mégantic. The route was 7.2 miles long and dropped roughly 360 feet. That long, steady slope turned the train's weight into speed. At 1:07 a.m., the train was moving at 25 miles per hour. 7 minutes later, it reached 50. 1 minute after that, 65. Ahead was a right-hand curve beside downtown. Its balance speed was roughly 18 to 22 miles per hour. The Runaway entered it at about 3 times that speed. The locomotives made the curve. The tank cars behind them, with their higher center of gravity, could not stay on the rails. 63 tank cars derailed. Their shells and fittings were crushed and torn. About 6 million liters of crude oil escaped. The cargo was light and volatile, with measured volatility comparable to gasoline. It ignited rapidly, producing fireballs and a massive pool fire. The investigation documented fire and thermal ruptures, but no BLEV. 47 people were killed, 40 buildings and 53 vehicles were destroyed. The center of Lac-Mégantic was devastated, and nearby land and water were contaminated. The small locomotive fire did not overpower a safely secured train. The firefighters did not release its brakes. Their correct shutdown removed the compressor that was masking an unsafe securement. For almost an hour, air leaked away too slowly to activate the automatic brakes, but fast enough to weaken the locomotive brakes. Then, the holding force crossed a precise threshold, and an invisible procedural failure became a moving train. The fire was out, the pressure was disappearing, and the train had never been secured without it.